After their historic season came to an end last night, the Coyotes women's basketball team has a lot to look back on in one of their most successful seasons in program history. Semifinal Wednesday down here at the Well with their big win over West Harrison on Monday. The Hawks are back in the semifinal round for the first time since 2019 and for the third time since 2017. That's right, Jason, the Drake Relays have finally returned to the Blue Oval here at Drake University in Des Moines. And while it's one of the slower days of the week, it's still jam-packed with Siouxland track stars trying to make their names known.
What's the environment like at the Tyson, Austin?
Well, Jason, I mean, you can see behind me, you see these store people. They're going crazy. It's going to be a good night. And, you know, it's going to be a tough one for Thomas More. And more importantly, I mean, I might go deaf tonight if something crazy happens tonight. Despite being knocked out on the first round of the playoffs last year, the Coyotes are prepared to come back stronger and better than ever. A former Sioux City North standout will be taking his talents to the West Coast. According to his Twitter page, Daniel Tillo inked a new deal this weekend with the San Francisco Giants.
Funny, Stella, it seems like you know how this works better than most of us. Why would that be?
You do it. Okay.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on, help me out here.
There we go.
Got it, got it. Heading into tonight, the Muskies were just one win away from bringing a Clark Cup title back to Sioux City for the first time since 2002, and all that changed tonight. But the Capitals were not going to make this one easy. We'll start out scoreless in the second. Muskies pushing up ice. Ben Duran closes in on the goal, but gets stopped to keep it knotted at 0. Later in the second, Caps getting dicey. Blake Dangos gets a shot off. The deflection shot almost goes in, but Alex Tracy makes an incredible save. It zeros after 2 periods. To the third, Muskies getting on the board. Ben Steeves picks up the puck, slips one to Charlie Shane, and finds the back of the net. Muskies take a 1-0 lead, but just moments later, the Caps answering right back. Quinn Finley sends a shot on. Caps crash the net, and Luke Middlestat scores to tie things up at 1. We head into overtime, but that's not enough for the Caps as your Sioux City Bandits win the 2022 Clark Cup Finals, bringing it back for the first time in 20 years. So far this year, the Bandits have passed all expectations and have been dominating the CIF as they are the only undefeated team in the league. They look to keep that going as they hosted Salina tonight. A tough defensive battle early on, a whole pack of Bandits attacking the Liberty quarterback to send him packing and keep the score at 0. In the second quarter, same song and dance. QB drops back, looks for a receiver, and he gets dropped to keep it scoreless. Bandits, though, end up dropping their first game of the season, 39-30. Axis took on Kane Country tonight in Game 2 of their series. They fell 8-5, and we'll be back tomorrow for their getaway day. First pitch is scheduled for 4:05 p.m. After a long week out in Des Moines, the final day of the Iowa High School State Track Meet finished up today with more records being broken and more titles coming home to Siouxland. So let's head out to the Blue Oval at Drake University. Starting off in the boys 4A 800 meters, Sioux City North's Gabe Nash and Yamani Kiflay finished in the top 2 and bring back gold to the north side. To the boys 2A 110-meter hurdles, Spirit Lakes' Jack Latham sets a new all-time record in the event, crossing the line in 13.81 seconds to earn the first place medal. Heading over to girls 4A in the 100-meter dash, and this week was the Holly Duax show. Crosses the line in 11.67 seconds to win her second gold of the week, but she wasn't done yet. Later in the day, Duax again, this time dominating in the 200-meter dash, finishes in 23.95 seconds, that being the second fastest time in state history. Nick, the Muskies did it. We've been waiting 20 years for this. We finally got it. There's probably going to be some pretty big parades coming tomorrow when they come back into town. To some, golf is an activity that maybe you pick up with your buddies on the weekends or even after your working days are over when you retire. But to others, it's a lifelong hobby that you just can't give up, especially when you get older. Sioux City resident Sally Kimball is 94 years old and still strives to play one of her favorite activities, one that she's been taking part in for more than 70 years.
I just enjoy it. I just want to play it. and not as well. I don't hit the ball as far, but you just love the game.
Sally has been a loyal member to the Green Valley Golf Club since they first opened back in 1960 and is still placing at the top of tournaments more than 60 years later.
I just love the course. I love the people, and I love the course. I probably should be quitting. I'm not doing it like we talked with Scott there, that I did win first flight last year at 93 and tied for second as what championship was in second place.
And Sally's been making lasting impressions to those she's met every step of the way.
Her greatest attribute is her attitude. You know, I never see her with a frown on her face. She's always upbeat.
And golf is not the only activity you can find Sally doing. Since her late husband passed 32 years ago, to keep even more busy, she teaches line dancing to senior citizens every Thursday at the Siouxland Center for Active Generations.
I wanted to do something, but no partner, so you don't do ballroom. And I called a cousin who did all kinds of stuff in Racine, Wisconsin, and she said, the senior center. And I thought, senior center, you know, I'm 60 years old. That doesn't sound good to me, but, oh, it's been a great part of my life.
And even I got to take part in all of the fun during class. Is this an easier one?
It is.
It is?
I can't even tell you. I think it starts out with the vine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
We have a new person today.
And let me tell you, it's a lot harder than it looks. All right. I need a $5. At the end of the day, Sally says she is not letting her age stop her from doing what she loves the most, and she compels others to do the same. When you think of football, and more specifically the different positions on the field, it's safe to say you'll think of a skill player like a quarterback, a running back, or a wide receiver. But one position out there that requires a compatible amount of skill are the kickers. And we have some in Siouxland who are kicking it farther than some do that are in the NFL. This is Giovanni Kabongo, a sophomore from Lamar's, who in this video makes a 60-yard field goal and makes it look like a walk in the park. At just 15 years old, Kabongo was a star for the Bulldogs soccer team this past season and has been able to make a simple transition to help out his school's football team as well.
It definitely makes it a lot easier considering that I have a leg, but I had to put a lot of work in, and I had very good teammates and coaches who inspired me and motivated me to do things that I never thought I could do.
Special teams at this level of play are usually a hit or miss depending on the program you're talking about, but the Bulldogs are confident in the skills that Giovanni has brought to the table.
And as a freshman last year, you know, he was the varsity kicker, and, you know, it's one of those things where you score a touchdown and then the panic mode sets in of, can we make it or not? Well, he kind of dismisses all that because you know if the protection's good, he's going to make it.
And it's not just finding the space between the uprights that brings hope to this Lamar's team. It's other components in kicking that could really make or break the outcome of each individual game.
When he kicks off, he puts it in the end zone. And so that's a hidden yardage that people don't see. And when a team has to start on their own 20, I mean, the chances of them scoring are a lot less than them starting on the 45 or the 50 and they're going half the distance.
Kabongo moved to the United States when he was 11 years old from the Democratic Republic of Congo. He says it's been a great experience playing a new sport in a new country and has his team to thank for helping him through all of life's obstacles.
I have a lot of English trouble, and they were very supporting, and I love my teammates and coaches who put me through the position I am right now, and I'm very grateful for that.
One of the fastest growing sports in the country has seen a huge increase of players, specifically in Siouxland, in the last few years, and it might be one of the more underrated sports to come to the area and to grow as much as it has. Disc golf stretches all the way back to its creation in the early 1900s. And it wasn't until about 15 years ago when it made its way to Sioux City and has been growing in the surrounding area ever since.
Sioux City always had a couple. We put our 18-hole in at Lamar's about 11 years ago. Alton followed with a nice 9-hole around their roadside park. Within the area, I'd say about every smaller town's got one in town.
Now, it wasn't by far the most popular recreational activity for the residents of Siouxland to take part in back then, But since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, the amount of players and interest in the sport has skyrocketed into big numbers.
You know, we've always had solid numbers until about 2 years ago. Everything's about doubled. You know, we used to have 4 or 5 tournaments a year. And now within the 2-hour radius, if you want to play a tournament, you can play one anytime, anywhere they run this.
Whether you're 5 or 85, if you can throw it, you can play it. But it might take a little bit of practice before you get to sling it around like the pros do. I'm gonna find that one.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's actually easy. I think that'd be the one thing people will find out when they do get into the game, is that how much different it is than just going out to your backyard and throwing a Frisbee.
At the end of the day, a big reason why the disc golf community has grown and stayed that way for the last few years is the camaraderie and the inclusivity that the Siouxland groups have put together since starting out.
You wouldn't believe how many people move to the area, find one of our Facebook groups, you know, then meet up and come play with us. And the next thing you know, they're a regular. Even the beginners that come out, all the guys that are experienced will take you under their wing, help you get better. And then next thing you know, they're just as addicted as we are.